this article called 24 Hours at the Palestinian Solidarity Encampment. It won us the very first John H. Macdonald Award for Excellence in Student Journalism for community service reporting, which is super important because that's what we strive to do in all our reporting, is to serve our community.
Had a lot of writers, a lot of editors working on it, which again reflects the kind of team effort that goes into this paper.
Coverage for 24 hours straight, I can only imagine, is a really difficult thing to do, especially when you're working with multiple people and making sure that you're on the same page. But the fact that it was done in so much detail and with so much thought and care was really impressive.
We talked to community members about why they were there, got to build really awesome source connection while also demystifying what it looked like inside the camp.
I really liked I Have a Question, which was covered by Spencer and Stephen.
It was about a Ubyssey staffer's detainment on February 14th.
The photos were so on point with the article.
And I think that that was a really important story because it wasn't just this is what happened, but it kind of went more in depth about why it was so troubling.
There's the Dean Merton profile that Sports published. There is the article about me that Culture published. There was a really good profile a few days ago about a professor in political science. There's lots of moments over the past year that have stood out to me where our coverage has really shown campus in a really interesting way for readers.
I liked the culture piece about verses. It was written kind of like a boxing match, and I thought that was really fun.
I really enjoyed a piece that came out in Culture called A Spanish Hour is Queer in Opera. I thought that this was both a really unique topic, but also something that I would have never found on my own, and I'm glad that we were able to highlight it, and it's also just a very well-written piece.
The Femme special issue was really interesting. Like, that had a really good piece on like the importance of gossip and gossip culture, which I really liked. Yeah. And then also it was like there was the Power of Drag article, which I also really liked. And I feel like all of the visuals for that whole special issue were like really professional and well done and like beautiful.
It was awesome. This was also during the atmospheric river, so it's like a puzzle to get
Really liked Samia's piece. It was part of the photo issue, and it was all about like his photography, and I thought that was just really interesting. And it was also just great hearing how excited Samia was just about like learning more about photography in terms of like I don't know, photography history. Really a story, but I was a big fan of the Food for Thought supplement that Gloria did in the fall, all about like nutrition and health, and I thought it was really interesting. I really liked the piece she did debunking nutrition myths. I thought that was awesome.
Opinion has also done a lot of great pieces, I think. Recently, the one that the AMS presidential joke candidates did, I thought was both insightful and kind of fun to read and silly in its own way.
Kyla's P-Man article at the start of the year, I thought that was really funny, and I really liked taking a campus event and sort of making it humor.
Feature story that we recently did about TransLink cutting funding, which could severely affect the just transit for students coming to Ubyssey. I think that's a story that definitely needed much more attention because if that does happen, it would severely affect especially commuter students.
What I liked particularly about sex issue this year was it was very clearly like interdisciplinary. We had some science pieces, we had some culture pieces. I think generally we don't really see that intersection in culture and science in particular, and so the fact that that whole supplement was approached from that lens, I think was really innovative and cool to see.
At the time of recording, we're seeing a kind of return to a lot of demonstrations on campus in relation to divestments, and I think there's some renewed questions about why the university and the group of protesters are necessarily getting along that they had seemed to be. My section answered that question, or at least one of my contributors attempted to talk about specifically why the protesters won't talk. That's the title of the op-ed. This is a story that is repeating itself, and I think we can learn from the past as a community if we revisit the ideas of at least one person who was willing to put their name forward to talk about how we can move past some of the difficult moments at Ubyssey, so we don't repeat history over and over again.
A story that I wish got more like attention was, it recently came out in Science. It was the deaf and hard of hearing piece, and you know, I'm biased, but I always want stuff with like deaf and hard of hearing to get more attention. But yeah, I thought Gloria also did a great job editing it.
I personally really enjoyed Ava Dunkel's article on how the sport of workcanoe got its name. Want to highlight it as much as I can. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great representation of what the section can be, and how sports intersects with like Indigenous communities and kind of what reconciliation looks like in sport.
I published a piece this year about Math 100 and why it's difficult. And I feel like it's a common experience to struggle in university math. And this piece has been trying to happen for like several years now for the science section, and it finally happened this year, and I think more people should read it.
Debunking food myths piece from the science section I really liked. It does a really good job of making sure all of the information is simplified so that it's really easy to understand, and I'm an English and law student, so it's really interesting to like look at stuff that's outside of what I would generally cover in like news.
The story of my photo issue that we did, it was about Kanuka Netsuka, who is a freelancer photojournalist. I'm so grateful that we got the opportunity to showcase her work and expose her to the world.
There's a science article about like AI in law in the courtroom, and how they made like a courtroom simulator to like sort of help students learn how to like be in that situation before they actually have to be tested or before they're actually in that situation in real life. I thought that was a really interesting like examination of like a new angle on AI.
I remember there was a culture piece about Vancouver Black Library having a new program for like reading buddies, which I thought was really cool.
Our humor section also has done an awesome job this year. They just published a spoof issue spoofing Girls World, and it's called Girls Lower Mainland, and it was overseen by our humor editor Alita. It's an awesome read, it's a funny read. It was a big team effort with a lot of contributors and senior staff working on it, as well as editors pitching in to model every time that they could.
I really liked their fake workday website that Sam worked on. That was really funny, and I think gave like a voice to students who've all been irritated with the switch.
Yeah, actually, I really like Colin's column called Hyperlinked. That's a bunch of pieces on media, society, how we interact with media. There was a piece recently that was like, the bus does not sound like your playlist. I thought that was fun and interesting.
We launched a secure Dropbox. Not a lot of student newspapers across Canada have. And I think that's something that's really, really important for us to have that channel for anonymous submissions and tips.
I really liked our like provincial elections special issue, just because it was so like comprehensive and covering all the platforms was really cool, and I feel like I learned so much, and also we had like such a massive team that helped us with that.
Oh, I think my favorite thing is probably the special issue we did in November. It was called Feb, and it was around femininity in general. So some reported pieces. We had amazing drag queens come in and be models for the issue, and do some interviews, which were in a piece and also in a video that you can find on our YouTube channel.
Something that we worked on in July was Press the Issue. It was a very fun supplement that Iman and I co-edited that was kind of looking into the intersection between student activism, student journalism, and some of the overarching power structures that influence the way that they work and they interact with each other. And it was at a time where the university was seeing the Palestinian Solidarity encampment. And so it was really cool to explore some of those overarching issues that influence what was going on.
And I think I'm really proud of the deep dive that we did into like the AMS culture, and for all of the sources that spoke to us for that, because I think it was a very sensitive issue.
The op-ed about from the 3 joke candidates over the past year was probably one of my favorites. To see people use the section to highlight the issues in our campus and not only diagnose them, propose a remedy for them is a fantastic moment for me in defining the value of what we do for readers.
I'm really happy with like some collaborations we've done with web, especially. Like at the start of the year, Sam Lowe, our web developer, did this fake workday website, and everyone really liked that, and it was awesome. So collaborating with web on different projects, as well as like there was a personality quiz that we did, which we haven't really done before, and it was kind of it was cool. It was interactive. yeah, I liked expanding that definitely. So yeah.
We've done a lot of like protest and rally coverage that has been cool to do, and the team really comes together to do that because we've had photos and videos and recordings, and that's, I think, also been a cool part of the section this year.
Our coverage of Final 8 and Double Dribble, that was like 1 week of just so many articles, but also everybody working together in such a collaborative setting, the way that everybody stepped up and supported the sports section, and I think we were able to do something that Ubyssey has never done before.
Nutrition supplement across the board. It was really good. Lots of fun topics about food science. Special shout out to an article from that issue was the one about Indigenous forest gardens. Very cool.
I think the most important thing we did this year was grow and change. The Ubyssey's been a newspaper for 106 years, but that doesn't mean that we can't change what we do, or at least try new things.
All of the editors push themselves very hard to expand what coverage they were capable of doing, and expanding their skill sets quite tremendously with different experiments with different reporting styles, different stories, different story lengths. These are all innovative elements of what we do.
I think we just did a good job of like, we brought in a lot of contributors this year, had like a lot of like repeating faces.
And I love our staff and our senior staff and our contributors and our managing team and our business team, and I love the Ubyssey. Yeah.
I love it.